Hi, today I'm going to talk about putting in some tubing when you run either your steering or your rudder cables to the interior of your kayak. So what I started out with is this 1/4 inch outside diameter vinyl tubing, which is used for drip systems for gardening. And I had some of that left over from an old project. It's also UV resistant, and since it's made to go into the ground, it's pretty resilient stuff. So that's what I started with. Then as my control cable, instead of using steel or metal cable, I'm using this Dyneema cable, which is 2 millimeters in diameter, which is roughly a little less than 1/8 of an inch. Also what I'm going to be using is this 1/4 inch plastic cable tie, and I'll show you why that's important. And these UV resistant inside-outside mounting plates when you attach cable. And then also these same UV resistant cable zip ties. Now you're going to use these two things when you actually position the tubing inside your kayak. And I would suggest before you put your tubing inside that you make up a couple of these like this already. That way it'll be easier to attach your tubing inside the kayak since you can't see it. Okay, so here's the tubing. It looks like this. It's easily formed using a heat gun or a lighter. And what you want to do on one end that's going to be sticking out from the back end of your kayak is I have this little screw here, and you can see how it's got that tapered end. What you're going to want to do is slide it inside the tubing that you've cut, and then just take your heat gun and heat form it like you would a piece of PVC pipe, push down on it, let it cool, and you're going to get this little flare. Now that flare is what's going to hold in this tubing when you're pulling it through the inside of your kayak to keep it from coming all the way through. It'll kind of lock in at the backside of your kayak. And another important thing is that since this is about a 1/4 inch in diameter, I drilled a 1/4 inch diameter hole for my kayak to slide this through. This will give a little bit, and that way when you push it through, you're going to have to kind of pull it kind of tight, and it gives a nice tight seal so you don't have to use any marine goop or epoxy to keep any water from coming in. So that's basically all the parts you're going to need, and I'll take you out to the kayak and show you what I've already done. Okay, here's the back end of my kayak, and you can see it's already been pre-molded to accept a steering or a rudder cable. And this is where I started when I fed mine through. And as you can see, when I come around here, there's the little flare. And that keeps this tube from falling on the inside as you pulled it through. So we'll go down to the end of the kayak here. And this is where I had it come out of my kayak. Now, everyone's got different kayaks for the most part, so you're going to have different places where you do it. And mine came out here, and this is the rest of my tubing, and I've attached it here with 2 of those 1/4 inch cable ties. And this has already been threaded through. And that's one thing I would suggest, that before you mount this whole thing in and pull the tubing through your kayak, that you go ahead and thread either your cable or your cord, whatever you're going to use. Do that first. It'll make things a lot easier than trying to fish it through later. And so the only time I used the cable ties was right about in here, inside the kayak, which was about midpoint of where I ran the tubing. Since there was a little bit of a bend there, I just went ahead and attached it to the upper inside of the kayak. And that's it. And everything went through, and the depending on your kayak, you'll have different ways of attaching your pedals and rudder or engine, whatever you're running. So anyways, if you have any questions, just leave me a comment. Thanks.